comparing the standard Gen 4 Glock 19 with an earlier version, Glock 19 Compensated version. We have two plates. We're going to do the Gen 4 on the top plate, and then we'll run 8 rounds with the compensated version on the lower plate. Up first, the Gen 4. Now the compensated. I flinched once, sent that low. That was definitely on me.
So this is 19. We're starting with this the Gen 4. Call it the Glock 19C. And then y'all can yell at me in the comments why that doesn't work.
Actually, it's what it says right on the slide. So if they complain about it, they're wrong. The difficulty with tricking out guns, sometimes you don't have all the bugs worked out when you give them to a friend to review. We're going to do double tap on the short torso, double tap on the taller torso to the right, shoot the hostage taker, not the hostage, and then single shot, and then try to shoot the hostage taker a second time. First up, the Glock 19 Gen 4. All right, next up, the Glock 19C, the compensated ported version. Slow double tap. Well, when we can get the compensated version to work, it's really clean.
Alright, same song, different verse, steel course. But I just get to have fun. Chambered? moving on to the compact. Dan had problems with it. Let's see if I can do any better. Ha ha, that's funny.
Push it forwards. There you go. Same thing with the F1. Actually 40.
Well, at least one thing we could say, it's consistent.
Failure to eject. Failure to hit the target. No, that might be on you.
Alright everyone, we are back from the range with our latest Versus episode with the Glock 19 comparison.
We have the Gen 4 Glock 19, which is like industry standard, most common handgun in the world. We're comparing it with a Glock Generation 2 Compensated version. Glock took a lot of heat when they made these because the idea of taking a short gun that's only a 4-inch barrel and it's a 9mm and putting a compensator in it, which is, for those of you who keep messing up compensated, there's weights in the front, and this one has cuts. So when you look, hopefully the camera will pick this up since I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm going to move over here so you can see. There are 2 cuts in the slide that mirror. We'll rack this back a little bit. If you look really close, the barrel also has corresponding cuts. And with it pulled back, you can just see the compensator, the weight there. So we have a tricked out version of a Glock that has not only the cuts and the weight, but it also has a custom trigger job. We ordinarily wouldn't cover this, but he really wanted to see how it would run next to the standard. So he warned me that the bugs weren't worked out of this, and boy was he right. So we're going to dive right into our comparison on which one we like better and how they function. 7 different categories, and rather than giving it a number score, it's just which one do we like better, and then we tally it up at the end. It starts with aesthetics. They are different. Looking at them from the side, not a big difference, so I was prepared to give this a tie. But when you look at the top, and it's got the ports cut in it, it's got the cuts in the slide, to me, that's just cool. That's like having a car that's got the scoop on the hood. It's extra cool for me. So I'm giving aesthetics to the compensated version.
One of the things that I like about the Glock 19 Gen 4 is it does have those little, they're subtle, but the finger kind of grooves where
Sure.
it helps you place your fingers on the grip better. And that's just something that I really like. And honestly, just looking at it, I feel like there's a piece missing from this gun, or 2 pieces missing from it. It's like, why are there holes there? Especially used to seeing just normal Glocks, it's like, it's missing something. So I gave aesthetics to the Gen 4.
Right, well, let's talk about ergonomics. She mentioned the finger grooves on the Gen 4, and the Gen 2 is an earlier version. And with each successive version of the Glock, they're supposed to be more ergonomic, more comfortable for your hands, and I found that to be the case. The ergonomics, how the gun fits in your hands, I gave it to the Gen 4.
I would have to agree. It's just comfier with that. I mean, yeah, they're Glocks. Yeah, they all have this nice feel to them. But when you add those finger grooves in it, it just gives a nicer, a more comfy, more secure feel to it than just a flat surface. So I did give it to the Gen 4.
All right, well, let's talk about shootable. This is a work in progress. This gun is in the process of being tricked out. Some of the stuff works really well. Some of it obviously did not. So in terms of just shootable, and part of that is just enjoyable. Mm-hmm. How much fun is it to shoot? And if you've ever been shooting and had a gun that malfunctioned over and over and over while you were working through it, it's not enjoyable. It's like work.
Yeah.
And because of that, this is a work in progress, and this is a finished product. This one's more shootable. And that's where I gave it. The Gen 4 wins that category hand down.
I agree. When you go out to the range to shoot, especially, you're wanting that enjoyment factor of constant shooting, of loading up the magazine and just firing through it. If you have to stop and take it out because it failed to feed, failed to eject, or it got jammed for some reason, it's not as fun because you're like, well, you lose the buzz, so to speak, of that constant bam, 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 bam. So I had a lot of problems with the second gen one over here, where as the fourth generation worked way better for me, so I gave shootability to the Gen 4.
All right, well, let's talk about accuracy now. This compensated one with the trigger job shoots well enough that if we can get it running clean, I'd like to take it out and run it against my VP9 just to see how it's going to handle itself. I give accuracy to this one.
I just found more accuracy with the one I've already shot. And again, that could be that's unfair. You know, you haven't shot this one multiple times. Okay, fine. I'll give you that one. If that's the case, it's a tie. But because I just, on the range even, just seeing how I shot, this one just was more accurate.
It was. You shot
so it was, I have to give it to the Gen 4.
All right, well, let's talk about point to point. Why you get guns that are compensated and ported. It's supposed to vent some of the gases, and in this case, the guns are ported on the top so that when you fire a gun, the recoil impulse is to pull the gun up. And porting it means that the gases are venting up to keep the muzzle pushed down, so it stays on target for follow-up shots and makes the transition more back straight line from target to target rather than this way like you're hopping. And it's, again, when the gun ran clean, the compensator and the porting more than did its job, and it was easily point to point for the compensated version.
They both seem to function the same. I can't pick one over the other because they both seem to move the same for me, at least. Again, not as experienced a shooter. I don't see or feel or notice that hop as opposed to a whoosh necessarily when it comes to actually firing. Technical terms, you know.
I like it.
So I'm actually going to give it a tie. Neither one gets a point because neither one of them rose or fell in my shooting. So
let's talk about cleanup. How easy are they to clean up? They're both Glocks, so they come apart the same way. But this is where the ports are, it makes cleanup more difficult because you have gunpowder residue all over the inside of the slide, not just venting out, but it covers things. So this one's not as easy to clean. It takes more work. So for easy, the Gen 4. Notice I said easy and pointed at Allie. That was a mistake. I was actually, you can't tell from the camera, but the angle is actually forwards and down, not just over.
I feel like part of this section almost comes back to aesthetics, where looking at this, feeling like it's just not as pretty. It looks like, it's almost like women's intuition knowing that there's a problem with that. Where it helps in some cases, but then it's more to clean up. It's more work. It takes more time. So in that case, sticking with my Gen 4.
Well, let's go with cheap. Since we got easy, let's get cheap. The compensated version, because of the extra work that's semi-custom gun shop work, this is a more expensive gun, and also a lot less common. It's a little bit harder to find. So if you're just talking, hey, I want to walk in and buy this, the Gen 4. So we have easy and we have cheap this way.
There might not be another review after this.
There will be a new co-host.
Isaac. It's really hard for me to rate price because I am learning about all this stuff for the very first time. And it does make sense because this one is in some cases a bit tripped out. It is modified. It is got some upgrades, so to speak, to it. It's gonna be. It just makes sense that that's gonna be a little more pricey because of that. So if you're going for cheaper, Gen 4.
Let's total them up. We have 7 categories. We didn't always vote on each one. She gave one a tie. I did all 7. 4-3 in favor of the Gen 4. I may change my scores once my gunsmith friend gets the bugs worked out of this, when it runs clean. If it runs clean. It'll be an amazingly cool gun, and I'll probably try to talk him out of it. Because I need this gun.
Gen 4 got 6-0.
6-0. He was a shutout. He's not going to loan you any guns to play with.
I'm okay with that. I'll just play with Isaac. It's fine. But anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by. And if you enjoyed this Versus episode, point those crosshairs at the like button down below. And we would love your suggestions on other Versus guns that we can pit against each other. And stay tuned because you know there's more reviews coming soon. See you then.